grab a cuppa, take a seat, and let's do this set of nails together. Also, if you do enjoy my content, please do drop us a subscribe and like and follow. I'd really appreciate it. So I'm doing a redesign on this particular set. Normally I lay a clear base, but I haven't been recently, and actually I'm finding it's pretty much 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. I'm going in and debulking. Now this particular bit is from Amazon, actually, I think. If anybody does want it, let me know in the comments and I can let you know kind of which particular bits I'm using. But if you go to my link tree, all of the products that I use regularly are normally listed in there. So I am taking down the length just a touch. Now what I've done is I've only kind of really left this finger in just for a bit of continuity and maybe a little bit more, but it just means that we can kind of get through the set and you can see what I'm doing. So once I've debulked all of that, I'm pretty careful. I've got it on quite a high speed so it kind of gets through that acrylic quite quickly, and then I'm going to start giving it a good file, just getting it into shape. Now she felt that the square were a little bit too wide, so she wanted to go for more of a coffin vibe. I was doing a French. I knew there was going to be a lot of bulk, so I made it slightly smaller and I filed it slightly thinner. You'll see in a moment when we kind of go over to the top that I have taken it probably more towards coffin rather than a tapered square, and the reason for that was I knew that would be adding bulk. So I'm just going back in with my coarse bit, just making sure that's really nice and smooth, because if I'm going to do a design on it, I don't want too much bulk there. Once you've done that, you're going to go in with a cuticle bit on reverse. This is the tiny bit from Katie Barnes. You'll notice I've got a dust collector there as well. It's a really effective dust collector. I know obviously there's dust on my hands, but this takes out all of those fine particles that I'd be breathing in, so highly recommend. I am also using the KB cuticle scissors. These are brilliant if you are struggling with nipping cuticles or anything like that. Please go and check these out. Again, check my link tree out. Everything's in there. I will try and link everything below as well in the description. I might need to come back and do that later, but hopefully it should be on there. Again, just removing that. Now, don't worry, I do remove that extra lifting on that middle nail there in a little bit. Once I've done all of that, I go in with a round ball. But again, this one's from Katie Barnes. You can get these anywhere, to be honest with you, though, and they're really good for just making that manicure look really nice and polished towards the end. Then, using a sanding band on a very low speed, I'm taking off any remaining lifting and just etching that nail plate. I'm using this particular tickling motion because I don't want to make it smooth. I want to make tiny little etches in the nail surface. Again, same here, and this is where I'm going to get off any kind of remaining lifting. My client had been using fake tan, which is why there is a little bit of orange on the actual nail plate. So I go in with my Young Nails Protein Bond. It's my absolute OG. I use it on pretty much every set and it really helps. And then I go in and I use I think this one is Basic. Oh, sorry, it's Boss by Ashley. They're on TikTok. It's really good. It's a really lovely core powder. Slightly pinky nude, it's just perfect. First off, I create the smile line. So you'll notice I'm using the side of my brush. Learning how to use your brush like this makes life so much easier. So using the side gets it really nice and flush, so you can really butt that file up against it in a moment when we go to file. I also do realise here when I'm watching back how much I faff, but it does mean that I've got less filing to do at the end. Again here, creating that smile line, so I've placed the bead just before the cuticle and I am just using my brush. I'm just gently patting it with the tip of my brush to get it into shape and then bringing it down the nail. I'm using the belly of the brush to actually kind of pat it down the nail, and the tip of the brush just to get that kind of really nice and flush by the cuticle. Again, using the side of the brush to smooth that round at the tip, and I'm just kind of constantly looking back and forward to the different nails just to make sure it's around about the same length. Also, I'm doing this in one bead, but I did the thumb in two beads, so I would say do whatever you feel most comfortable with. Now, the next part is absolutely vital when doing any French, whether it's glitter, whatever, it doesn't matter. Make sure you smile in that you file in that smile line. I like to take the dust off as I'm going along as well, the reason being that I can then see what I'm working on. I'm not over filing anything. This is a kind of almost like a 3D French. So what I do is I go in first off with the gel paint. Now I tried this brush first off. I wasn't that happy with the results, so I go in with a flat brush afterwards. Now normally I love this brush. It's probably one of my favourite brushes for art and that kind of thing. It's from By Ashley. Again, they're on TikTok. But I end up going in with my CJP flat brush, I think it is, just because I found that I was getting the kind of better coverage and much quicker. I just found this was taking far too long. Now, once I have done this, before I add any acrylic, please do make sure you give it a full cure. That is so important. We cannot have uncured gel on the nail plate. Now, I went a bit over the top, I'm going to be honest with you. Looking at it here, the gel does not need to go all the way back, but it does need to go over the smile line for this particular effect. I don't know why I've put it all the way up the nail. I think I was probably chatting, knowing me. So yeah, bring that right the way up, and just make sure it goes over that smile line. That's super important. Then using a tiny little bit of acrylic, I picked up some of the glitter and I pop it on at the tip. I've done this in a few different layers because I need it to be relatively thin. Now, the first one I actually picked up the bead of acrylic and picked up the glitter, but what I started to do after this, and I found it worked much better, was to actually just paint on some clear acrylic and then just very lightly dip my brush into the glitter part and then pop it on. This particular glitter, I think, is from Tracy Lou's. And it's absolutely stunning. Now, it's quite old, but by all means check on the website because you may still have it in stock. I'm not sure. So on this nail, I've picked up a tiny little bead, and then I have just placed that on and I'm just moving it around with the tip of my brush. You'll notice I don't wipe my brush a lot, certainly at the very beginning, and the reason being that I like to keep the monomer in the brush just because it keeps that product moving. Once I have done this, you do need to cap this as well because obviously we don't want to file away all that gorgeous glitter. Now, this is what I was saying earlier. You'll notice I paint on just a tiny, very, very thin layer of the acrylic, and then I've wiped my brush off because I don't want too much mono on it here because I want to pick the glitter off, and I want it to actually release onto the acrylic. But I'm just arranging that and playing around with it. But again, it's just to show you two different ways of doing it. And actually, I often do this when I'm doing sets. I'll try different things because I'll find that some things work for me better, some things are quicker. So don't be afraid to do a little bit of experimentation. Another thing that you can do is you can go in with a little bit of acrylic afterwards. So what I mean by that is go in and put your first layer of glitter. Then you can go in with another tiny bit of acrylic and pop on a little bit more glitter. Now I'll do this after a few moments once it's set, and it just means that I get a better coverage and the glitter that I have on there doesn't move. So again, I've done this particular nail like I've just done the other nail, and I found it just so much easier. Now I'm capping. I've only left the one nail in, but basically you just, I work it backwards. Everybody does it differently. Do it however you feel most comfortable. Some people place it on and then use the tip of the brush to work it up, but I like just to smooth it backwards just because I find I get that shape straight away. Again, it looks a bit of an odd shape at the minute, but we do go in with a 2x coarse bit, and we will file it. I do try and do a lot of work with my brush though, just to make sure that's really flush, as much as possible anyway. Now, I'm going to be honest, I've left a few more of these in because who doesn't love a smile line reveal? I go in, again, this is the 2x course bit just from Amazon, and I just file that into shape. I am trying at the minute to really work on my e-file because I'm having quite a lot of problems with my shoulders and my arms. So I am trying to do the majority of the work with my e-file, and it has made such a difference to my service. Now, I've been doing nails. I'm just going to ramble on while I do this. I've been doing nails for 6 years now. I'm a confident nail tech, but I think I think you should always be looking at your technique and always be looking at new techniques and the way other people are doing things, because actually you might save yourself time, you might find it easier. Initially, I mean, if you'd said to me I would have done this all with a hand file a few years ago, and frankly, that's ridiculous. And I wonder why my shoulders are sore. Do you know what I mean? So it's really important to try and make sure that your life is easier, everything's more comfortable. You'll see that's very quickly taken out that bump where the smile line is, and if I'd done that with a hand file, that would have been so much more labour intensive. But yeah, my ultimate goal is to be able to do the majority of the filing with the e-file and then literally just buff it with the smoother afterwards, because I am a control freak, and I like to be able to just smooth over it with a buffer afterwards just to make sure it's nice and smooth. But I'm getting there. But on this set, I did use my hand file just a little bit towards the end. I don't think I've left that in because sometimes the filing can be a touch awkward. And also, I made the massive mistake of buying cheap files. Don't cheap out on stuff like files, guys. I know sometimes you think, oh, it's a great idea. I only use files once, but do you know what? Count it in with the cost of your service, because I bought some files from Amazon because I'd run out, and I thought, oh, I'll try these ones, see if they're any good, and they're rubbish. They hardly last a service without getting bendy and just not filing properly. Once we've done that, we'll give it a good cleanse and we'll go in with our top coat. I've left most of the top coating in just because I think it's really nice to watch. If you do have any questions, if you're wondering where I've got anything, or if there's any videos you want to see, I would absolutely adore to hear from you. Please do let me know in the comments. Finally, and very importantly, we're going with our cuticle oil. This particular one is mango flavoured from Tough Love Nail Company. I highly recommend her cuticle oils. They are some of the best out there. Lovely to apply and really, really nice. This will help your photos as well. So look how beautiful that looks on the photo. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day.